After failing to succeed at a couple of other business ventures, Japanese company Enix turned its sights on the video game world. In order to find some fresh talent, they held a design competition, the winner of which ended up being one Yuji Horii, who created a tennis game which would then be published by Enix. For a follow-up title, Horii took inspiration from a few key places. One was his own game, The Portopia Serial Murder Case, a crime-solving adventure game in the vein of classic graphic text adventures. Another was from the Western world of PC RPGs, namely Wizardry and Ultima. Horii was enamored with these tabletop-inspired worlds of strategic combat and exploration, but wondered what would it be like if they weren't unbelievably punishing and obscure. In an effort to make something that would actually be palatable to normal people, Horii developed Dragon Quest. This RPG's approach was to ease players into its world with simple-to-understand quests, smaller punishments for dying, and an appealing art style created by none other than acclaimed manga artist Akira Toriyama, whose Dragon Ball series was just getting off the ground. The game became a hit in Japan but took longer to reach American shores, by which time it no longer seemed so impressive. For legal reasons, its name was changed to Dragon Warrior stateside, and its graphics and features were given a slight update. Nonetheless, it failed to really take off in the West, with Nintendo resorting to giving copies of the game away with Nintendo Power subscriptions later on. While Dragon Quest has had to claw its way back to relevance in the US, it's a beloved phenomenon overseas, and it all started with the first one. Today, we reassess an influential relic as we put this quest to the test. It's a video game podcast.
Wow.
And there's so much to discuss. One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda. From adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan.
My name is Will.
And we are Bad with Games.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're going well. The flu is definitely not here, not getting us down, not getting our energy down. Right? Isn't that right, John?
I don't know why you'd even bring it up.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Some people, it's that time of year, but not us,
I sound great and I feel great.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sick.
No, of course not.
You never get sick. It's not fair.
It's because you get sick around the holidays because you travel for them.
Yeah, but I was just sick like in September. Like, it's not fair. I was just sick. It happened on this podcast, which we just started.
You
How
probably
can I be
traveled.
sick again?
You
It's
were
not
out traveling.
fair. It's
Stop doing
fucking
that.
bullshit.
Don't get on a plane.
I think the real problem is that I drank a lot on New Year's, and I think my immune system was weakened.
Yeah. I also didn't go anywhere for New Year's. That also could have done it.
But it's okay. I'm suffering through it. I'm going to be revitalized by today's episode, in which we're covering Dragon Quest, aka Dragon Warrior. The original release on the NES, 1986 in Japan, 1989 in America. Okay. How's that sound?
It sounds pretty good. You did a good job with the delivery, and I'm pretty excited. I gotta say this was one that I got a little bit excited for because
Hey. We're not in that section yet. If you're gonna start talking about your own personal background,
no, I'm not gonna do that. How sick
Oh.
are you, Jesus?
I got
I'm
scared.
saying this is gonna fill in a little slot on our little phylogenetic tree of RPGs, right? We had Wizardry, we had Ultima, and then we skipped to Final Fantasy, and now we're filling in a missing link here.
Yeah.
I think.
In actuality, we started with Final Fantasy. As you'll recall, people were very upset with us.
Right. Yes, that's true.
And we
I'm
can
putting
now,
them in proper order, though.
at the end of this episode, we'll determine whether or not we made a mistake or if it was the right way to go. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting day. People are going to love this. A lot of Dragon Quest fans out there. We got to fill the folks in on some patch notes before we get into things proper. Of course, you know that you can support the show at patreon.com/badwithgames to get amazing bonus episodes where we talk about even better stuff than what's on this dumb show. And you can email us badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com to give us your thoughts about these games or any others that we discuss. And if you're not, you can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/@badwithgames to watch us play this week's title. Or you can just listen to us wherever you get your podcast. We like that too. We're happy no matter what format you choose to join us with. Also want to say, I'm just going to say, well, I probably shouldn't say it optimistically, but I'm going to be optimistic.
Okay.
We're doing a Super Mario Brothers 3 gameplay video to follow up on last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're committed to doing this. It's been a very busy time with the holidays, and I was traveling, and now I'm sick, and I've been watching a lot of movies.
I think
yeah,
right. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
We're getting this out there for sure. It might be a little more delayed than usual. We do need to make sure that John's energy levels are high enough to actually get angry. Because otherwise it won't be that entertaining.
We'll see, but we're going to try to do it as soon as we can. Normally we try to put that up early for patrons, but since it's already been so late, we might just push it out at some point. I don't know, but just look for that at our Worse with Games channel, which is also linked in our description. You can find that separately. Okay, that's the patch notes. Now it's time to learn the lore.
Background Royale.
No. I thought you'd be really impressed with it's time to learn the lore.
Impressed? I mean, that's just like a phrase.
Well, last week nobody said it. We were like lore, something with lore, and I didn't hear you suggesting it. And then in between, right. I thought, learn the lore. There it is. That's the segment name. It's boom, done. And applause happens.
You literally just talked about patch notes, and I still don't even remember what that one is. So I don't
patch notes.
I'm not going to be impressed by any of these. So
it's what we just did. It's the updates for our show.
Okay, that's sure. Yeah, why not? And
now we're going to learn the lore, which is the section of the show in which we talk about our previous history with the games. Well, I guess I don't know, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you aren't very familiar with the Dragon Quest series, but I know you have an affinity for perhaps members of its crew.
Members of its crew, yes. I know very little about Dragon Quest. Coming into this week, I think I knew, let's see if I can list off all the things I knew about Dragon Quest. It was a JRPG, series of JRPGs. The character designs and illustrations were done by Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball.
Wow.
And Arale.
Rest in power.
And some other stuff. That Dr. Slump, that's what it was called. And it had
Sandland.
Slimes. Slimes are like a big thing. That's like the iconic enemy type. It's like their version of a Goomba.
That's right.
I think that's
we love slimes.
I think that's all I knew about Dragon Quest coming into this.
That's pretty good. It's
not bad.
Did you know anything about Dragon Warrior?
No, I would not have been able to tell you anything about Dragon Warrior.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. I mean, I know you're a big Dragon Ball head. Did you ever read any of Toriyama's other stuff?
I read bits and pieces of Dr. Slump, as I brought up there. So I was, whenever they do like an Orale, what you call it, what do you call it, like guest appearance or whatever, in Dragon Ball, I am aware of what they're referencing, but that's about it, really. Mostly just Dragon Ball.
Hmm. I read some Sandland when back in the day with when they used to have the Shonen Jump magazine.
Hmm.
Maybe they still have that. I don't know.
They for sure gotta still have that. There's no way.
I mean, I'm sure, but in America, I remember there was a time when it was like it seemed like a big deal. It was cool that it launched and it had all these different
Mm.
mangas, in it every month. And then I think it died. But
Like there
maybe,
might not be an American printing of it, you mean?
maybe, yeah. But maybe they brought it back. I don't know. It was a good show. So here's the crazy thing about Dragon Quest for me is that I
Mhm.
was pretty much in the exact same boat as you. Dragon Quest is huge in Japan, not so huge over here in America. And the real reason for that initially is because this game came out again in 86 in Japan. We didn't get it until 89. And by the time you get to 1989 in America, Final Fantasy was already on the scene.
Mhm.
And so Dragon Quest 1 just did not seem very exciting in comparison to audiences at the time. And Final Fantasy is the one that became our beloved JRPG franchise. It took that ball and ran with it. Um, and so, it's over the years, it's gradually come back up, and it's people. I feel like it really hasn't been until maybe the last 5 years or so that really American audiences, in a bigger way, have embraced the series. But for a long time, it just wasn't a thing you really knew about unless you're really hardcore into JRPGs. That was me as well. However, by no real choice of my own, people know I've mentioned I write news and reviews for a Nintendo website, gonintendo.com. And a few months ago, I reviewed the HD 2D remakes of Dragon Quest 1 and 2.
Wow.
I was told they were available. I could review them. And I said, sure, why not? Let's do it. And so I jumped into the franchise that way for the very first time just a few months ago. And that is my, so that is, up until a few months ago, I was totally ignorant of everything. Here I am now, just so happens to be playing the first game for this show. And I have, in fact, before that, played the modern remake of it.
Okay.
So kind of an interesting, weird situation. I would be a noob who knows nothing,
Mhm.
but now
So
I have this other perspective.
so you say a few months ago, that means while we were recording the podcast.
Yes,
Okay.
that is true.
Okay. Yeah,
We were
so
in the
okay,
midst
so
of it.
when you first put the schedule together, you had no Dragon Quest experience at all. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you'll be able to talk a little bit, I guess, about some of the things that maybe didn't stay for the remake.
I will. I definitely will. I mean, I'll say this: there is a lot of changes.
I'm
Very, very
not that
different.
surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if you probably don't know about HD 2D.
No. It sounds like the sort of thing that you would put after, like, when if you're a Japanese company making a remake of an old game, you'd put a bunch of letters like that sort of mean something, but maybe don't.
Well, it's actually refers to a very specific art style that Square Enix,
Hmm.
I want to say, I don't know if they own it, but I think they're the only ones who really use it. Where it's like a high res graphics where sort of the backgrounds and stuff are 3D, but all the sprites still kind of look like 2D sprites.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
they've
I
used it
know
for
visually
some
what you're talking
things.
about.
Yeah, it's they've been using it for some new games as well as the first 3 Dragon Quest games got remakes in that style.
I see.
Okay.
So that's the remake of this game would have that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes. So it's still, looks like it's not like fully 3D or something. It kind of is, but it's kind of not. It's HD 2D, you see.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I get it.
Anyway, so that's the situation here. It's going to be fun to dive into this game today. Let's stop for a minute at the box art breakdown.
All right. All right. We got two box arts here to go with the two titles and the
Yeah,
two
which
releases.
which one do you want to start with?
I mean, I don't know. Do we want to just start with this Toriyama one? It came first. We already mentioned him.
Yeah, that's true. It's number 1. Yeah, this is the original Japanese box art, which of course is labeled Dragon Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a big old picture of the hero, who is the protagonist
Mm-hmm.
of the game,
Mm-hmm.
fighting a dragon.
Yes. Uh Now
Makes
this
sense.
dragon looks exactly like you would expect it to look if you've ever watched Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z even as a small child. Just imagine one of the random animals in the forest that Goku eats or something. And it looks like this guy.
I mean, one thing
Uh,
about Akira Toriyama, he's very consistent.
yes. Yeah, no, I mean, like the guy is an auteur and he has a style, right? Like he fucking you know it's him. Because it's from behind this hero, you see um a little bit less, but you can still tell it's his style. It's interesting here because I think had I not seen more works by him, I probably would assume that this dragon is fucking massive, right? And this hero is just like a normal sized guy as he raises his sword and shield. But knowing the style and having seen it in other contexts, I can't help but think that this dragon is probably about 6 feet tall. It's just that the hero is like, 2 or 3 feet tall.
I think that's true. I think that's probably is true in the context of the game as well.
Yep, no, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it looks great. It
hmm
is, if you like that art style, and which I do, it's fun. It's cool. He has a very distinct way of making action scenes that look dangerous and threatening, but at the same time very goofy and silly.
hmm
It's not like childish. It still looks like a dragon. It's got sharp teeth. It's going to fight him. He's got a pointy sword. But the dragon also is so goofy looking that you're not looking at this thinking it's scary in any way. It's just a bit of fun.
Right. Yeah, no, it's like the perfect scary monster to show to a small child where it reads as scary, but it's not actually. It's going to be fine.
I did refer to this company before, by the way, as Enix. That's their name in the corner of this box art
Mm.
too. And
hmm
it's Square Enix. They merged at some have many years ago, but this is
Yeah.
pre-Square.
Okay.
I should say though, I don't know. Their name might be pronounced Enix. Technically, I think in Japan they say Enix, but it's this weird gray area because the etymology of it is actually comes from the word phoenix, which in Japan apparently is pronounced like phoenix. So,
I I do think this Japanese underneath it is phonetic, but I can't read it,
oh,
so.
I was waiting. I was thought, oh wow, this is impressive. He's gonna tell me what it
Well,
says.
the problem is that Japanese has like 3 alphabets and they are not all phonetic, which is why I'm like, I think it's the phonetic one, but I might not even be right on that count. So, that's how bad I am.
So I've always said Enix. I just think it sounds better, but you can
Yeah, I
get
think
mad at me if you
everyone
want.
does, right?
I think most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
I've heard it said Enix before, but also I don't like I don't know. It's not like I go out and have these discussions with
It,
more than like a small circle of people. So I
it honestly just sounds wrong to me to say it without Square in front because most of my life it's Square Enix. I'm like Enix. You forgot
Mhm.
the first part. Um, this logo is great. Did Akira Toriyama, do you think, also help design this logo? Because it does bear some resemblance to the Dragon Ball logo, I think, too.
It does. It does. It's fully possible. It's got a very similar thing going on with the font here. I like the use of a sword as the T. in Quest, even though it's a little bit odd because the letters are like very thick. So this sword blade, like it almost looks like a coffin rather than a sword at first glance.
Huh. Yeah, right. It is a very, very thick sword. It's like a 3D printed foam sword.
Hmm.
Also, like these little, I guess they're drakies or drakies in the
Hmm.
background by the
Oh
castle.
yeah, yeah, I love them. What do you make of this texture over it? There's like I don't even know what you'd call this. Like the actual art itself. You're the art guy. What would you call
Is
this?
that is what you're referring to? I'm not, I'm not going to be able to tell you if it has a name, but is that is that part of the box art? Do you think, or is that an artifact of this being a
Hmm.
scanned image of a
I
cover?
I assumed it was part of the box art because I don't see it in the like yellow
Oh, you're
fire
right.
breath up at the top.
Yeah, I guess it's like that comic book kind of. It's not quite that like dotted line,
Hmm.
Georges Seurat. Pointillism, It's not that, but it's like that sort of pop art look. Does
Hmm.
that sound knowledgeable and cool?
I mean, this is why I'm asking you, is because anything you say will sound knowledgeable to me.
Wow. That sucks. Now, conversely, we can move over to the American box art.
Hmm.
So again, they changed the name here, Dragon Warrior. That is simply because there already was something called Dragon Quest. It's like the story with a lot of these titles we've talked
Hmm.
about. That name was not reverted until like the early 2000s. They finally got the rights back to it and have since gone back and again, like the new remake is called Dragon Quest. They no longer care about this warrior moniker.
Hmm.
But this box art, it's also a guy fighting a dragon, but
Hmm.
definitely not Akira Toriyama's illustration. The dragon looks much creepier, more alien, more sinister. This guy's got a much bigger cape. I mean, it's the same
Hmm.
elements, just completely composed in a different way.
Yeah, it is a completely different style. And I do like Akira Toriyama's style better. I like the cutesiness of it, but I will say that I do like that it's not necessarily generic, right? Like this is not just like, oh, it's some fantasy dragon. As you said, it kind of looks like an alien or something, right? It's got these weird like pure red smooth eyes that are like vertical in its head rather than horizontal. Its teeth are just like the weirdest
I
fucking thing
hate
I've
them.
ever
I
seen.
fucking hate those teeth.
It's such an odd design, and like I do like that it's very stylistic in that sense. Um the warrior, I guess, I don't know, the hero is also like, I don't know, like, he's not just, like, your stocky knight hero. Like, he almost has kind of a Sentai look to him in his, like, very weird pose, right? Like, he's got these odd position of his legs and his arms, like, way out behind his back to give him this very, like, smooth and flowing figure, like, not just with the cape, but his whole stance. Very strange. Um I I wish that they had, I do think that that probably partially comes from being like, well, American audiences wouldn't want it to be cute. It's got to be cool. But I do at least appreciate that it's not like totally generic.
It's essentially the same thing as the transition from the Japanese Mega Man box art to the American, only that it looks like they actually took time to do it
Right,
properly.
right.
It
Right, the
like
stylization of the Mega Man one more comes from having an hour.
right, but it's a very similar, cute chibi look to metal, hardcore, fire and rage and stuff. But like, it's not bad. It isn't
Mhm.
bad looking. It's again not really representative of what's in the game, but not also a total other world away. It's not.
Yeah,
It's.
I mean,
I mean, it's harder
it's
because in the game, like when you see if you see a dragon. it really does look like a Toriyama dragon. It's not like you can say, oh, it's
Yeah,
an
that's true.
interpretation. Like, that's
Yeah,
not what it looks like. But
that is true. That is true.
it's
I do
fine.
also kind of like this kind of this background, sort of like it looks like flames leaping up at the dragon, but like that doesn't. You know what I mean? But, like, it doesn't actually when you actually look at what it is, it looks like it's not the flame, it's just sky in the background, so maybe the dragon has, like, wings or something that look like it's being lapped by flames. Very
Hmm.
strange. I'm not quite sure what to make of that.
Like a phoenix.
Yeah, like a phoenix.
You know what it is? You put this guy on a horse, you've got the Ultima cover.
Mhm.
That's right. It's maybe that was the inspiration for the box art since it was for a little bit for the game.
Quite possible. I kinda want this dragon head tattooed on me somewhere.
Yeah, that would be pretty badass.
If you didn't put the body on it, you just had the dragon head, it really would look like some kind of, like, Beelzebub devil goat thing, right? Like, it would have, like, weird bat ears on it, but, like, of course it does, it's a devil goat, you know?
Yeah, possibly an emblem of white supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, you would run that risk.
It's a risk I'm willing to take. Uh, so yeah, I think both good. Both good box
Mhm,
arts for what they're going for.
mhm. Yeah, no, I think it is decent, the American one. The Toriyama one is way better, though, for
It
sure.
is better, but I also am not like. I mean, maybe it's just because to me, I'm like, well, yeah, I've seen him draw this a lot.
That's fair.
It's not exactly like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I mean that is fair. Like if you step out and say like a lot of American audiences might not have even been exposed to Dragon Ball that much at this point.
Probably not at
I don't
all.
I don't really know when it
Well,
started
89.
like getting translated and coming over.
Yeah, no, I think
I
is
don't have a
89 is
great
like when
sense of that.
is that when the anime first started? I think I was just looking at the dates of this to try to figure some of this out. Cuz like Dragon
Uh
Ball the manga it said didn't come until like 84.
mhm.
So, and this game was 86. So it was really like, Toriyama was hot. He was
Yeah,
fresh.
and then and then there was a long time I think before it actually got like moved over to
Yeah.
America, but I don't know my timelines on that. I'm not a big enough Dragon Ball head.
Yeah. But I want to say that let's see. The oh no, that's the animated series. Oh no, the animated series started in 86 and Z started in 89. So I'd bet it wasn't too long before, because by the time you hit like early 90s, you did have some like Sailor Moon and stuff was starting to
Mhm.
kind of hit in niche places, right? I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think if you're early 90s, Sailor Moon is still for like weirdos who
Well, it
like
always
buy
has been.
Japanese VHSs and try to translate it themselves or something like that. I think
Yeah.
when it gets on TV is more like mid,
Yeah, that's fair. Mid.
but I don't know.
All right. Let's talk about
Anyway,
the game Dragon Quest. I do think I'm going to title this episode Dragon Quest,
mhm.
but we
Yeah, I wasn't
did.
sure.
Yeah, we did technically play the American version from '89, Dragon Warrior, which is
Mhm.
a little different. Some of the
How
graphics,
different?
so some of the sprites were changed, like and made a little bit better.
Mm,
Specifically, I don't think in battle as much as like on the map, the people moving
I
around.
see. Gotcha.
It has the original one did not have a say. You had to put in passwords. It wasn't this.
Mm,
The NES American one had a battery in it. That's probably the biggest one, and there might be. And oh, the dialogue. I mean, obviously they translated it to English, but in the original they just kind of talked like people. And in the English version, this also became something of a staple of the franchise, if I understand correctly. They have a very medieval, thou art come to slay
mhm.
thine dragon. Everybody talks like
Right, right.
that. Which I gotta tell you, there's way more dialogue in the remakes of these games,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I got sometimes that gets on my nerves.
I can imagine that. Yeah, most of that was just in battle animations here, which you can just kind of like skip past without looking at the screen.
Yes, there's not so much of that. There's a few other things. Supposedly, they removed some, unsavory bits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a famous thing also in the later entries in the Dragon Quest series where they refer to Puff Puff.
Hmm.
I wondered if you would be familiar with this.
This sounds like something Master Roshi would ask for.
Well,
That's what it
apparently,
sounds like to me.
Wikipedia says it was used in the Dragon Ball series, but I don't know if that's
He
maybe
pro-
just the manga or just the
that is
Japanese.
probably where I heard it before then. Is exactly what I just said.
Well, it's, and I quote, a Japanese onomatopoeia for a girl rubbing her breasts in someone's face or juggling her own breasts.
Okay, okay, sure, yeah.
This podcast is a safe space for women, I want to say.
Yeah, there's no Puff Puff in the version that we played.
No, instead, there's a woman who used to say, "Hey, you want some puff puff?" And in English, she says, "Yes, we have tomatoes. I have some tomatoes today," or something like that.
Oh, like, yes, we have no tomatoes, that lady, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm pretty sure there's later Dragon, even in America, where they just went with it, and you can like go to a place and get. I know there's at least one I've seen where you get puff puff, and they rub two slimes on the character's face.
Jesus.
They're like, it's
My
puff puff.
God.
Yeah. You know,
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, so here's a question that I guess I now have that I didn't have before. How involved was Toriyama with this beyond just the art direction?
I don't know about later entries. Here, I don't believe he was involved really at all. He
Mm,
was much more. I mean, I'm sure they might have subconsciously taken direction from his style, but yeah, I don't. I
mhm.
don't think his
Okay.
perversion.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like, listen, I'm as much as I am a Dragon Ball fan, I'm not about to come out here and say that he wasn't a massive pervert. So, like,
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Maybe that was his little note.
yeah,
I've
make
got
sure
one more
someone,
idea.
yeah. I drew a Puff Puff lady NPC. Make sure you put her in the game.
Yeah, yeah, that could be it. Maybe he drew that lady.
Probably did.
The thing is that the overworld sprites don't really look like his art. It's really just at least to me,
Hmm.
they don't. It's really just the battle art.
Yes, I would agree, but then you also told me that they changed the overworld sprites, so I don't. Now I'm not as sure
They
anymore.
did. They were pretty simple in both versions. They just made them a slightly more, I think they move around and change direction more and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Dragon Quest, for anyone who doesn't know, it is a JRPG. It was inspired by games like Ultima and Wizardry. This creator Yuji Horii, who's now like a saint in Japan, they fucking love him over there. He was a fan of those games, and he said, "What if we brought that to a bigger audience in a more accessible way?" And so, in this game, you are a hero. You need to defeat an evil dragon lord who has taken over the world. And to do so, you got to go out into a map, fight enemies, gain levels, learn spells, visit towns, get items. That's pretty much it. You do
Hmm.
not have a party. Famously in the first Dragon Quest, there's
Hmm.
only you, like Ultima. You're just one person,
Yes.
and it's really as far as RPGs go, it's about as simple as you can get. Like, think about the DNA of what a JRPG is, and it
Hmm.
really is that.
Yeah, and this kind of does again put it in between Ultima and Final Fantasy, right? Like we had a party for wizardry because that was all we had. Then when we actually have an overworld and walking around and monster sprites and whatever, you've got a character, just a single one. And here you've also got a character, just a single one. Now they've also taken away um all of the things like class systems, or like, would you like to put points into this stat or this stat, roll your character, that kind of stuff that was in the first Ultima. Um, I they've done a little bit more with like buying items. They've done more with your level matters in a way that it didn't necessarily in Ultima exactly.
Right.
Um,
That was weird.
which was kind of weird. Yeah, like Ultima, there were a lot of things about it that didn't feel quite like an RPG, that like, I'm going in assuming it's going to work like an RPG, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, I guess that's just not how it works." This one, yes, this one works like you think a JRPG works, 100%, except that you're just one guy and your stats level up when you level up, right? So no skill trees, no classes, no parties, none of that.
Yeah, and maybe the other biggest sort of outdated thing about this that was kind of taken from, in a way, from Ultima and Wizardry is that you have this context menu to do anything in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you press A and then all your options pop up. You can talk, use a spell, search the area you're on, open a door, or use stairs. You can't just walk onto stairs in this game. You have to walk onto them, press A, and then click stairs. And now you've gone up the stairs.
Right.
And that,
It's a
yeah,
little
it's,
in between, right?
yes.
Like in Ultima, everything is a key on the keyboard, and in Final Fantasy everything's menus, which means that so many things are like, listen, you don't have to menu to use the stairs, they just happen. You don't have to menu to talk to somebody, you just hit the interact button or whatever. But here we're still kind of on the, I need a separate command for everything I do, but I don't have a billion keys. It's on the NES, so I have to use a menu system. Like, it's a little clunky. It does feel like this kind of intermediary step between two systems that potentially worked and were interesting, and it doesn't quite hit either of them, but they're figuring it out, right?
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating for me to see this because there's other later games I've played like Earthbound, which has a similar thing where you have a little menu that
Mm,
pops up to do almost anything in the game. That always to me was like, what the fuck is this? And now
mm.
playing these other ones, it's like, oh, that was sort of, I see where they got this from. It was they maybe didn't quite realize yet that, like, now it seems
Interesting.
so antiquated.
Yeah. How much later is Earthbound? Do you know off the top of
That's
your
like
head?
92, 93,
Huh.
94. It's like early 90s.
Huh. Because that does feel like, this to me does not feel like even like an antiquated style. This to me feels like we can't do it the old style. We need to figure out a new style. And then once you have it figured out, it's better than this, right? It's like this, but better, right? I can open my context menu to check my status or cast a spell or use an overworld item, but I don't have to do it to talk to a person or pick up an item or open a chest or go through a door or go up the stairs, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very strange to me that they would continue using a menu to do those kinds of things after they figured out, what you need it for and what you don't, right?
I guess I should say, well, Earthbound is Mother 2, and then there's the original Mother, which was released earlier, and probably it was from more this
Mm.
period, and so maybe it was more
And they
like,
just
well,
didn't
it's the
update it.
second game, so we just stick with the same concept.
Did they change any of this in the remakes for Dragon Quest that you
Oh yeah.
played?
Well,
Okay,
let me
because I was gonna ask, you played the remake of Dragon Quest 2, so perhaps you know of what the answer to my next question was. I wonder how many Dragon Quest games they did this for before they changed it.
yeah, that I do not know because I've only looked at the remakes. I haven't looked at what the original ones were. But like in the remakes of the first game, I mean, you still have a menu, but like you don't need to press a button to go to stairs.
Hmm.
You if you're looking at someone, you just press A and you talk to them. You don't need to choose talk. It's your menu is more for items and spells and equipping stuff. Like you would think in any standard normal modern RPG.
Right.
Um, It is truly the difference between these two games. Honestly, playing this game, I had looked at it a little bit when I wrote my review, just to kind of get a sense of how different is this. I did like
Hmm.
watch some videos and read some stuff, but actually playing it has made me appreciate that remake much more.
Hmm.
Um, it is crazy how different it is. I mean, even while keeping the same blueprints, but even you look at the castle that you first start in and return
Hmm.
to often, and then you look at the remake version, and it's like the layout is the same technically.
Hmm.
But it's like now an actual 3D place, and you actually move, and it takes you like a few minutes to get from the front to the back as opposed to 5 seconds, because it's so
Hmm.
just this many pixels, and there's so much more detail, and there's so many more NPCs, and the story actually exists.
Hmm.
They actually, like, here's another great example. In one of the first dungeons in the remake, you go in and it's this crazy underground place, and there's this other party of characters who are also trying to do the same heroic quest as you, and they're sort of like a comedic thing that you're learning from and watching, and you fight them a little bit, I think. And they have all this dialogue, and then you explore a couple levels of this dungeon, and there's treasure chests, and at the end there's this big tablet, and when you find it, it tells you the story of Erdrick, your ancestor, this epic story, just in text, but like the music swells, it feels very important. And there's that same dungeon in this game. You go
Hmm.
underground, there's like a treasure chest, and it says, here's the thing about Erdrick. And then you leave. It's so bare bones. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize how much they really just invented so much stuff.
Now, I will say this though. Given, you're coming at this from having seen the modern version where they can pack this in.
Yeah.
My view of this comes from entirely the opposite end, where I kind of read through the opening manual, and I was like, there's very little here about the actual like plot and setting, comparatively speaking. Most of these other games have so much shit here. But then when I went in the game, I was like, oh my god, basically everything that was in the manual is here. Like, NPCs are talking to me and they are telling me things about the plot, maybe even more than they were in Final Fantasy. And like, given the time frame for this, I was kind of expecting that I was going to get like 10 pages of backstory in the manual, and then I'd go into the game and it would just be like a line of dialogue from the king, like, go save kingdom, hero. And you talk to an NPC and he'd say, that dragon lord sure is mean. And then you talk to another one and you'd be like, oh, they all say the same thing, okay. But no, that wasn't the case. They like all say different things. They have different characterizations. They give you information. I was relatively impressed, given its contemporaries, at how much dialogue was in here. Now, yes, obviously what you described, the remake having, is so much more, right? In this one, yes, you are just like, okay, I guess, I got out of this castle. I fought some slimes. I saw a town. I'll wander around. I guess there's like a hole over there. That looks like a dungeon. Oh, I'm in a maze. Oh, treasure chest. Oh, it says something about Erdrick. Okay, cool. Okay, I did that, I guess. Right? You're not.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's such and it also, there's some things in the remake that are kind of like, there's several, frequently in the dungeons there's just dead ends with,
Mhm.
and a lot of times when I'm playing the remakes, I'm like, exploring, and I'm like, I'm trained to think from video games, well, if there's a pathway, at the end of it there's a treasure chest or something, and
Mhm.
sometimes there's not. And I'm like, what the fuck? You made me walk down here and fight all these enemies for nothing? Fuck you. Why'd you do that? And now I'm like, after playing the original, it's like, oh, it's because all these dungeons were basically just mazes in the
Right.
original.
Right, this is just wizardry or Ultima again.
Yes. I mean, more than that, one of the games that uh, what's his name, Yuji Horii made before this was this game called the Portopia Serial Murder Case,
What the
and which was
fuck?
an adventure game that was like
Mm,
part of, they sort of used some of its menu system for Dragon
mm,
Quest. And wouldn't you know it, what were some of the influences for that game? Oh, King's Quest and Zork.
mhm,
And so once again, everything comes back to cave adventure.
mhm,
Um, but it is also very funny to me seeing what Final Fantasy then didn't take from Dragon Quest, where
mhm,
their whole thing with this game was, let's make this more accessible. I think specifically he said, I want to make it so, unlike Wizardry, you don't have to know Dungeons and Dragons to play this
mhm,
game. It's an entirely new set of enemies and characters. I mean, it's still like dragons and
mhm,
skeletons, but they're more or less original. And then you look at Final Fantasy, and they were like, let's just do Dungeons and Dragons again.
mhm.
and let's make the story not make any sense again. We don't want to go too far in that direction
Right, right.
of making it so
Um,
friendly.
yeah, I mean, like that. There are pros and cons to that. The the con to that is that, as you said, it's a lot of, if you don't already know these kinds of things about like party systems and whatever, there's a lot of front loading of decisions like, oh, what's my party gonna look like? Who do I equip with this? Who do I teach this spell? Who do I put in my first slot? Blah 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 blah. But the upside to it is that, when you have a lot of these combat situations that are like, I attack, you attack, I attack, you attack, that can just be a little bit like, oh, so I'm just kind of mashing A. And Final Fantasy has the potential to have far more intricate and interesting boss battles. Now, generally speaking, I did not really find that to be the case when I played it. It was mostly just like, yeah, everybody just hits an enemy and whatever. But they're like adding that complexity back in is potentially a better thing for the genre, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, it's complexity, a certain level of complexity, definitely. Overall, it's a step in the right
Mhm,
direction.
mhm,
Um, I, the trade-off of that to me is that in Final Fantasy, I do get fatigued doing
mm,
all these battles and feeling like every time I do one, there's a transition to a new screen. There's all the enemies. I have 4 party members. Okay, I gotta sign this. I gotta sign this. I gotta sign this. I gotta sign this.
mm,
All right, here they go. Okay, 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 okay. And do that like 3 or 4 more times. All right, now I leave. And for me, that's when I do that so many times in a row, eventually I'm kind of like, I don't really want to do this anymore, or I need to
mhm,
take a break. And one of the nice things about Dragon Quest is, because you are one person. This is different in the remake, but in the NES version, you never fight more than one enemy at a time. It's much more like Dragon
mhm,
or Ultima. Um, and a little square pops up on the screen. You fight the guy, and if you're, once you gain a few levels, depending on what area you're in, it might take you as little as like 12 seconds or less. Sometimes if you're really strong, if you're in the first area, you're just plowing through slimes and shit as you go.
mhm,
While it's not as ambitious in that way, and ultimately I understand, well, yes, I'd prefer a deeper game, generally speaking, but there is something kind of nice to just running through the world and the random battles. Some actually didn't annoy me as much in this
mm,
game, even though they can be as if not more incessant than others, just
mhm,
because they're so much quicker and simpler. And it's just like fight, fight, fight. You hardly ever even need to use your spells in this game. You don't really, it kind of takes you a long time to even learn that many. It's far more straightforward, which again, like, is a pro and a con to me. But
mhm,
when I'm in this mindset and I'm like, this RPG, it's a simple RPG. I'm one guy. Let's just go for it. I like the simplicity
mm.
personally.
Yeah, interesting because yeah, for me I liked these battles a lot less because of that fact. The fact that there was just, nothing to them. Um it, it definitely has that advantage for grinding, that you kind of don't have to look at the screen. Right, like, for a lot of these, you can just kind of, like, mash A, or, like, oh, if that enemy's too strong, you run from it, or whatever. But then the downside of it, to me, is that it feels like every encounter, um, like, there's no reason for these encounters, right? It's like, what is this encounter here to do? It's here to make me mash A. Like, at no point do I have to think about, like, oh, let's take out the little guys first so that I'm not taking as many hits, or oh, let's all come in at the big guy all at once because the little guys just aren't a big threat. Oh, I need to use my magic to hit everything at once because there are multiple things that are potentially going to get me. Or like, let's sleep so that I can take out a couple things before I take too much damage. Here it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, you go in, you hit him. As you said, you basically, there's not much use to use much of your magic for the most part. And so it kind of feels like, okay, that just feels, I don't know, like, why I don't care that much, whatever. Doesn't matter. Uh, it makes the battles a little bit more boring for me. I think one, just to remind our listeners from Final Fantasy, you were saying that you hated grinding in Final Fantasy. And one of the things that I said about it was that I had like one grinding session, but for the most part, I never felt like I was grinding, because in Final Fantasy, whenever I saw a new set of enemies, I'd be like, "Oh, cool! I should try fighting these guys and see what they're like." And so I just kind of naturally was gaining experience and gold. Whereas you were just like, "I hate this battle. I don't want to do it," and you were running away as often as possible. In this game, it's usually just better to kill the thing than run, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest. It's, like, faster and easier, and you get something out of it, whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, but it feels like grinding, because when I started getting to new areas with new enemies, I was very rarely was I like, "Ooh, I should try fighting this thing to see what it's like," because I know what it's like. We're gonna trade damage until one of us wins. Whatever, right? I don't care. So the question is just, can I trade damage well enough or not? So I can test the waters on that once or twice. Whatever. I don't actually have to finish this fight. If it seems too hard, I can just run. Um, and so to me, all of the times I had to like beat enemies to get somewhere new, it felt like boring grinding. And every time encounters came up, it was just like, yep, there's another one of those I gotta get through, as opposed to like, ooh, a new enemy type, ooh, a new way. How am I gonna deal with this? Um, so I think and I really do think it just comes down to, you don't like doing this, so not having to do it made you happy, but I like doing it, so not having to do it makes me bored.
Well, I have many thoughts on this. I'm gonna try to remember them all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go for it.
Um, First of all, I think, when I at whatever point said I hated the grinding, I'm also because there's a difference between, like, we may be, and I may have been guilty of
Mhm.
this as well, equating grinding with just the act of getting around the world and fighting enemies
Mm,
in general,
okay.
because I do. Like, if I got to grind for a little bit, I was annoyed in the first game because I messed up and thought I had to do it early
Mm,
on. But I didn't really grind. To me, grinding is like
okay.
specifically, I need to do a thing. I got to gain a few levels, so that's my purpose right now.
Yeah.
That to me is more forgivable than what actually really annoys me is when it's like, I'm trying to get through this dungeon and there's a bunch of shit that keeps popping up and I don't want to fight it right now. Like,
Mm,
that's not my goal right now. Get out of my way.
mm,
Um it is, in this game, I almost equate it more to something like Zelda, where it's like a turn-based version where when I'm fighting a slime, in my head, it's more like just stabbing an Octorok. It's
mm.
like, it's just a thing in my way. I killed it. It took 2 seconds. I move on. Of course, in Zelda, you'd have like the hand-eye coordination. You're actually moving around and stuff.
Hmm.
But I'd say that for me, at least, that's roughly on the same mental load as what this game is. It's not like
Interesting. Yeah,
neither.
because for me, I was going to
Yes,
immediately say
for you,
in
it's a bigger
Zelda,
deal.
yeah, I was gonna say immediately in Zelda, there's like projectiles coming at you, so you have to like, hold not be attacking and facing them when the projectile's coming at you. You have to be aware of which enemy you're attacking because there might be ones behind you or on like shooting from other angles. Um, Whereas in this one, it's just kind of like, am I high enough level to beat it? Yes or no. Right? If no, run. If yes, spam A. There's not, there's no thought about how to do it. Whereas in Zelda, I do in fact have to, like, there is a way to do it. And even if I'm super high level, if I don't do it right, I'm just gonna lose a ton of health for no reason and not really kill anything.
Yeah, I mean, as having played action games my whole life, for me, I think it's just much more of it is just very unconscious decision
Hmm.
making. I'm not actively thinking about it probably the same way that you are. And to be clear, I'm strictly speaking about the original Zelda right now.
Hmm.
Zelda 2, a whole different ball of
Yeah,
wax.
that's, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was as well. Yeah, I'm not thinking about that one.
And you never are. um, so I don't even know where I'm going with it, but I mean, you're 100% right. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. The
Hmm.
fights in this game are, for the most part, pretty brain dead. There's a couple challenging boss fights later on in the game, but really, I almost came to think of this game as less of an RPG and more of a cookie clicker.
Hmm.
As it,
Hmm.
the truth is, so much of the game is grinding. Now,
Hmm.
and again, I don't know. We can quibble over the term grinding.
No, I think we agree on what the term grinding is, right? Like grinding is basically like I'm going to sit in this place and take this repetitive action until I am good enough to go move on. Like I'm not trying to make
Mhm.
forward progress. I'm just trying to sit here and repeat and accumulate,
Well, here's
right?
something interesting I read that I wonder how you'll feel about it. That
Okay.
when I was reading about the game online, I saw people saying, asking for help, and people saying, don't look at a guide for Dragon Quest.
Mhm.
Because if you look at a guide and it just says, well, go here, then go here, then go here,
Mhm.
then you're going to have to grind. Because if you know where to go, it's very easy to get there. It's just that there's a bunch of hard enemies in your way. But if you're playing the game naturally, organically, and not looking anything up, the only way to really know where to go is to talk to everybody in the towns, uh, think about what they're saying, explore every place that you're looking. And if you're playing it that way, then you should roughly be fighting enough stuff on your way that you won't actually need to quote unquote grind that much
Mm.
because it'll happen more as an effect of your exploration.
Hmm. I disagree with this statement. I To me this game was without using guides almost exclusively grinding and nothing else. I spent a lot of time in this game just being like, I'm just gonna, kill a bunch of enemies. Okay, I've let's see how big of an area I can explore. I'm just gonna wander all around the map. And very quickly I'd be like, okay, so if I cross this bridge, then every enemy two shots me and I can't do more than one damage. So I guess I have to stay over here. So let's look at everything over here. Okay, well, the only thing over here is one other town. What can I do in this town? Well, I can buy new gear that would help me in the new area. How long would it take me to buy that? About an hour of killing enemies. Okay, so I spend an hour killing enemies, I can buy the gear. Now I go over the bridge into the next area. Alright, let's explore the full bounds of this area. Okay, well, if I go over this bridge, then all the enemies two-shot me, so I can't go over this bridge. What is there to do in this area? Well, there's a town. What can I do in this town? Well, I could buy new gear. How long would it take me? About an hour of grinding. That was my experience playing this game.
Yeah, I mean yeah, that sounds about right. That's not totally dissimilar from my experience.
I think the first time, so that first dungeon you go in, right? You go into that dungeon and I was a little bit like, okay, I'm going to see some like harder enemies and I think there was basically nothing in it. Um and like it was just the maze, and I was like, okay, this is a cool tutorial, right? It's teaching me that I need a torch, and it's teaching me that I'll have to solve a maze, and there's really only the only thing in here is like a quest thing that tells me some lore, and that's pretty cool. And then I found a second dungeon, and I was like, can I do this one? Absolutely not even close. And how much grinding did I have to do before I could do that one? Like 2 to 3 hours. Like I basically felt like at no point was I even allowed to do anything other than kill slimes. To me, this felt like killing slimes the game.
What was your
And
general trajectory? Because I wonder if that was just a thing you weren't supposed to look at yet. Like I think I kind of went north, then I went east. Um then I started to go, by the end of the game I was more towards the southeast doing stuff.
Mhm. Well, the first thing I did was um the whole area you can be in without going across bridges,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Which was all
Bridges for
north.
listeners, anytime you cross a bridge, the enemies get harder.
Yes. At a certain point, I crossed the first bridge to the east, and then I tried crossing the next bridge, and that was just not even close to happening. So then I tried crossing the bridge to the like west and south, which is where I discovered that
That's
dungeon,
crazy,
and
yeah. I think that's Crazy
and
Pants endgame town.
well, no. You have to cross one more because that's
Oh,
where the
okay.
first dungeon that I found was. And I was like, okay, this is too hard. So then I continued in that first area. I found the town way up in the northwest.
Yeah.
That's where I did all my first. Okay, I guess I'm just staying here until I can buy the gear in this town. Then I tried the dungeon again. Wasn't good enough. I went over to the east. I went over to the east again. I saw the town. I got to the town there. Um, and I got the town there. I like bought some stuff. I came back over the dungeon. Still wasn't good enough. I ground out some more. I got all the items I could possibly like buy. And at that point I went and did the dungeon over to the southeast. Then I came all the way back over to the west, went through the tunnel to the south, found the town there, and then some bullshit happened that made me upset, and I'd already played for so many hours and had been mostly grinding that that was around the point where I stopped. But I did get to that town down there.
Yeah, I wonder if I was maybe I pushed through more of
Mm.
those harder areas and just like ran from stuff,
Yeah.
or maybe I just fought some things and was willing to die and get the experience from it, and maybe I leveled a
Mm.
little faster that way.
Interesting because I was very averse to dying because like for me I was like it feels like to me a lot of the progress is buy the new gear. And since you lose half your money on death and it takes me an hour to get enough money to buy the new gear, dying is like a half hour loss. Um so I would get into a new area. Like I'm curious if you went to a harder area and you found that the enemies there like three shot you and you maybe 3 to 4 shot them back. Like, what did you just run from every single thing there until you found something new? Because I immediately was like, "Well, I'm not supposed to be here yet."
I
Right.
can't remember precisely, but I'm sure there were some times where I would like camp outside of like for a while that town over
Mhm.
in the northeast where I was
I think
like,
that's coal.
yeah, that sounds right. Where I was like, okay, let me fight these harder enemies and then heal as much as I can with my healing spell. And then as soon as I almost dead, I run back to the inn, heal, come back out, do it again. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, that is what I was doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean that's a thing to do. I was I don't I think I was not as focused on gold, or there were periods where I was like, okay, you know what? Once I got to an area where, oh, these things are dropping like 10 gold per kill instead of one,
mhm,
that's when I was like, well, now that it's a little more feasible, I'm like, oh, well, there was that one thing that cost 300. So you know what? It wouldn't be that bad to get 300 if it's 10 or 12 a
mhm,
pop each fight. I'll try to do that. And then once I got that item, then I was like, not worried about money for a while until I felt like I needed it.
mm.
I was more focused on experience and leveling. And
Mm.
one of the things I was actually going to say, and maybe this is a total mindset difference, is that maybe another one of the reasons I think the combat didn't necessarily frustrate me as much as Final Fantasy is I did feel in Final Fantasy it was more punishing, more annoying. When I died, first I had to figure out I got to pay for whoever's in my party to get resurrected. I got to go to a different place to do that, or I got to heal them from poison, maybe, which requires a different kind of item or a different kind of person or a different kind of spell. And maybe I was halfway through a super long dungeon and now I got to crawl my way back and do this and that. And I got really burnt out that way. In this game, losing half your gold can be punishing if you have a lot of gold. But also the map is small enough that it's like I could kind of get back to where I was, and I didn't feel as bad about it. And there was no fee. I didn't die and then have to pay to get my people back.
Now, because to me, dying felt very. I think part of the reason here, like yours being like, yeah, it's not too bad because I have experience or whatever.
Yeah, you keep all your
But
experience points. Your levels
yeah,
still.
but for me, I was just like, well, I'm not really sure what level I need to be to move on. So my level is just wherever I end up. So for me, my marker of like, okay, I walked around this area. I want to go somewhere new. How do I do that? My answer was, well, I know I'm ready when I can buy the stuff here. So for me, gold was pretty much the only thing I was doing. I'm like, I want enough gold to buy that stuff. When I have it, I can move on. So if I die and lose a bunch of gold, I'm just like, God damn it. Right? That is my only marker of progress because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just walking in circles here. So I really did not want to do that like at all. I found dying to be just like annoying. I don't know if it's as punishing, but it was fucking annoying. Um, and like the fact that I can only save like all the way back at the beginning, and I'm just always ending up all the way back at the beginning. Um, and the map is like very samey. I don't know. It did feel very like it was annoying to have. Like it wasn't as far to go as Final Fantasy, but it was very annoying to do it. I really felt like I needed to be able to make my character run or have some kind of vehicle or something. I was very displeased with it. To me, this game did feel like just walk in a circle and press A, the game.
Wow. This goes back to my Zelda 2 philosophy, I think, where as soon I wasn't thinking about in that game you lose experience when you die, right? And I wasn't usually trying for experience by the time it was harder to get because I knew I was trying to avoid the pain point of losing it when I died. But if I was at a point where I was like, oh, I have a decent amount of experience, I need to find a very safe place. I don't want to waste this. Grind it out, go heal, grind it out, go heal. And once I get that next threshold, I'll be safe again. Then I'll move on. And that's kind of what I did in this game was like, I wasn't thinking too much about gold until it was like, oh, I have like whatever. I'm like somewhat close to my next target. This is my cue to let's play it real safe. And then once I buy that thing, that's when I'm moving on. I felt there were a couple times, but rarely for me that I really died and was like, oh, all my fucking gold. Because usually if I was going somewhere somewhat dangerous, I did not do it if I had anything I wanted to save.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I
no.
guess that almost never happened to me either because it's just so easy not to die. Because, I would just be like, what is on the other end of this dangerous thing? I already know it's a city with more expensive stuff that I can't afford yet. So I don't care about going into this dangerous area yet if I can't do it. So I'll only do the stuff that I can do. So I just don't die. So it wasn't really a concern. It's not even that death was so awful. It was just like it wasn't worth it to move forward. Like what am I gonna like? Why would I like? I don't know. Like how helpful is it to get to the next city early? You can't afford anything, and the monsters are too hard to beat to grind to afford stuff. So you got to beat the monsters you can beat to grind to buy the stuff you can afford, so that you can fight the harder. Like what I'm taking away from what you're saying is that you like grinding. I think you like it. I think legitimately you like grinding.
Well, no. Here's the truth, because you're not 100% wrong.
Mhm.
But I don't think this is inconsistent with what I've said before.
Mhm.
I I think once I locked into what this game is,
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, this is grinding the game.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get on its wavelength and I'm gonna learn to enjoy it." Whereas I've like in other RPGs, we just keep bringing up Final Fantasy because it's the only other one we've played on the
Mhm.
show. It's like to me, and maybe this is the wrong mindset. Maybe you have the better mindset, and I should try to adopt it. But
No, well, finish your thought.
yeah, but what I'm thinking is like I'm not here for grinding the game. I'm here for quest, story, beat boss, get treasure. And every step of the way, some fucking shit's slowing me down. And so it feels more like it's a hindrance to me. Whereas here it's like, well, that's all the game is. Therefore,
Mhm.
that's the game, and I'm gonna learn to engage with it on its level.
Yeah, interesting because you might not be wrong that it's not inconsistent with what you've said before. I just kind of like I think based on our earlier discussion, my thought was, yeah, John just doesn't like grinding, or like I have more
It's really
tolerance for it,
my
or like
bigger
or there's something where,
issue.
but yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
100, like yeah, I hear what you're saying for sure, because for me, um like the difference for me is that in Final Fantasy those battles aren't slowing me down, right? I'm playing Final Fantasy because I want to explore areas, get treasures, complete quests, and engage in interesting menu based combat. And that last point is one you don't want to do. So every time you have to do it, it feels like it sucks and you're like, this is getting in my way. Whereas when I had to do it in Final Fantasy, um, a lot of the time I was like, oh, cool, I haven't tried this kind of combat before. I haven't seen enemies in this configuration before. Um, and even then I was like, boy, I wish some of those bosses were harder. Whereas in this one, there is no interesting menu based combat. There's just menu based combat. There's only grinding. And whereas you were able to say, I'm going to get on this game's wavelength and enjoy the grinding, for me, I was just like, I don't like grinding. This is grinding the game. I guess I'm going to like look at my phone while I tap A and walk back and forth for a while here. Is this fun? Do I like this?
I mean, this is the same thing I did with Final Fantasy, but you got to learn to listen to podcasts, man. It's really like I love having a mindless thing to do while I listen to a podcast. Like that's
I'm not going to
great.
lie. There was a section of this where I was reading a book while I was playing it.
Hey, yeah, buy audiobook too, whatever works. I mean, part of this may be my fault for not either not articulating myself clearly, or maybe just not even, maybe I just didn't fully understand
Yeah.
this about myself previously.
Yeah, or maybe I misunderstood you because I just assumed you were like, I hate grinding or
Well,
something, and I was like, I'm the Pokemon guy.
I think the real thing is, the thing that I really don't like is random battles.
Hmm.
And often random battles and grinding just go together. They're part and
Yes.
parcel of an RPG experience. And this game has random battles too, many of them. But that is the real thing to me, is not that I don't want to have the interesting combat. It's that I want to have it on my own terms when I'm ready for it and excited for it, and not when the game says, "Now here you go," and I'm like, "God damn it,
Gotcha.
get out of my way."
Yeah, I mean, I get that because, on the one hand, as you said, this game has a shitload of random battles. Sometimes you're getting them every goddamn step. But from another perspective, which I've sort of articulated, it kind of doesn't, because they kind of aren't battles, right? It really is kind of, you're either good enough to hit A or you're not good enough and you run and it probably works. They're kind of not random battles. They're just like, it's more like you get every couple of steps you get a little pop-up that says like, you want some treasure and experience, or are you too worried that you'll lose life, yes or no? And you just say yes or no. And if you're if you're you're like, yeah, I want treasure, yeah, I want treasure, ooh, that treasure's too scary, yeah, and if you're me, I'm like, this is boring.
It is, isn't it strange? I felt like, what is the system that determines it in this game? Because sometimes I would walk what felt like a long time and nothing would come up. And
Hmm.
in the same area, and sometimes it was every other step. And I'm like, what? Who's deciding what? Like, it's truly
Yeah.
random. It's not like game random. It's actually
Mhm.
random.
Yeah, I know this was like always a thing in in Pokemon, and I'm pretty sure it's not true if I'm not mistaken. But I think a lot of people claimed that the like random encounter algorithm would give you tons more random encounters your first time than it would coming back. Because the first time you're going through, you're like, I just want to get through this. Oh my God, stop showing up. And if you come back, that means you're trying to like grind for levels or catch Pokemon. So of course that's when the algorithm doesn't give you anything. And there were times playing this where I did feel like that, where I'd just be like, get out of my way, I want to go to town. Or I'd be like, why haven't I seen an encounter yet? I'm just trying to get gold. Oh my God. And my brain started thinking, I bet it's trolling me. I bet the programmers are fucking with me. And I had to kind of remind myself, no, that's how randomness works. That's just a cognitive bias. It's probably just random.
Yes, in Monster Hunter circles, they refer to this as the desire sensor. That when you're trying to grind a certain part, the game knows you're trying to get it and will never give it to you. And if you don't care about it, you will get a dozen of them.
I think,
yeah.
or I was, I was gonna say, I think in Pokemon, actually, some of the games have algorithms where the longer you go without an encounter, the more likely it is, or like certain number of steps are like free, and then later ones are more likely and more likely, so that you don't just randomly hit a pause of like 10,000 steps. So they might have done something like that here.
Yeah, I wonder. It's certainly like in Final Fantasy, it was very measured out. I think it was like to the point where if, you go online, you can actually know when enemies are coming.
That's probably true. Yeah. I only know about this from Pokemon, what I've gleaned from speedrun tech, which I know very little about, so.
I also find it funny, speaking of the battles feeling pointless, at a certain point, if you're strong enough, an enemy will encounter you and then it just says it ran away, like it's scared of
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I did kind of enjoy that. I did
Yeah,
like
it feels
that if
kinda
you
good.
get high enough level, the low level enemies will go away. I kind of wish they just didn't show up at all.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, why not? Why make me click A at all? I mean, it makes you feel powerful. I guess that's the real answer. But that's the thing. That is like the level of this game where it's very primitive and simple, but there is a part of my brain that you don't have, that probably goes back to arcade high scores. That's just like before I was not strong enough to fight these guys here. Now I am. That just feels good. As simple and as dumb as it is, there is something inherently entertaining about that to me. And that's why I said it's like it's the cookie clicker. It's just like
Yeah, there is something
number
too.
go
Like
up.
I do agree with the idea of like the enemy shows up and then it runs, because one of the things you want to do with something like this is you want to give people a sense of being in the game. You want them to imagine, it's like, okay, it's just a bunch of stupid numbers on screen, but like I want to this thing does like a Pokemon red bar, right? Like when your health is low, all the numbers and menus turn up red. Like I go to talk to somebody and the menu is red, right? Like that's just a dumb number. Like you could say, yeah, I've got 2 life left, but I'm in town, who gives a shit? Or none of the enemies in this area could possibly hurt me, who gives a shit? But the game wants you to be like, yeah, but like if you were the hero, you'd be like holding your intestines in. You'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm dying. I need to go to get healed. Oh no." And so you do want to feel like you're the hero, and it is so limited, right? Like it's not like you can do all of these like in-depth ways to immerse the player in the world. So little touches like the enemies are still there, but they run away from you, as opposed to just there's nothing, you don't see it, can help with that for sure.
Yeah, fleshes out the world for you.
Yeah, and I think that part of my issue with the grinding also does come down to the idea of like it it's hard for me to feel like I'm exploring on this smaller map that only has a couple of different types of terrain, right? It's like there's the craggy mountains, the forests, the plains, and there's only this small area I can walk in. And I just don't really feel like I'm on an exploration. Whereas in Final Fantasy, the map is bigger. There's a lot more different kinds of terrain. Different areas look different, and I much more feel like, wow, I'm in this expansive world. I'm on an adventure. Um, but on the other hand, there are limitations on the software. There's only so many things they could put in. Final Fantasy is a later, more advanced game. Um, So perhaps,
Should maybe be
that's on
comparing it to
me.
Ultima more.
Yeah, perhaps I should be. Perhaps it's on me to not, it's like I'm not letting my imagination do the heavy lifting here because I've been spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say pretty much it's always on you. In a way, it is. I do feel the tables have just turned slightly. Like from last week when
Mhm.
you were talking about why you preferred Mario 1 to Mario 3.
Mhm.
And that's it's not exactly, it's not a 1-to-1, but it's a sort of how I feel about this to Final Fantasy. It's like I'm like, yeah, it's not technically as good. It's much more shallow, but also I like that shallowness a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm okay with I'm playing, this is my pony on a stick that I'm playing
Mhm.
with. This is my sandbox and you have a Lego set.
Yeah. I just want to get to an RPG where I can have a 30 turn battle against an opponent. That's all I'm asking for. That I have to select different moves every single turn. I have to think about every single one of those 30 turns rather than just price. That's all I'm asking for, and I do know that I'll eventually get that.
I mean, it
But
must be said that I don't know, would Final Fantasy exist in the same way without this game?
Mhm. Mhm.
You could maybe argue that, well, Ultima set enough of the groundwork that it maybe would have still picked up on that thread. But there's still the general look and feel of things, the medieval setting, the way the animation, the way it's presented. It does feel like, as we said, it's a missing link that you kind of need
Mhm.
this in there somewhere.
Yeah, it is interesting because so much of what Final Fantasy took, like the experience and the party system and blah blah blah, that is all Dungeons and Dragons. That's all
Yeah.
wizardry, skipping over Ultima, and then this is taking from Ultima, and that it's odd, right? Because it's not like a direct lineage, right? They're all taking different elements of what came before. But I do think that this overworld, the way you traverse it, the way you, I mean, a little window does pop up with an enemy on it. So like, whereas in Ultima there are just guys on
Mhm.
screen that you fight unless you're in a dungeon. The way that dungeons work here, where it kind of looks the same as the overworld as opposed to the dungeons
Yeah.
in Ultima are the same as the dungeons in Wizardry. Some of that is definitely being carried over to Final Fantasy. Yeah, no question there. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, the combat in general. I mean, in Ultima,
mhm.
you didn't even have spells, did you? Didn't you just have a weapon?
I feel like you could select other things, but for the most part, you didn't. I think it was more like you might select an item. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't
Yeah,
even remember
I can't
because that just
remember.
like wasn't that important.
Yeah, so certainly the idea of like I'm at level 6 now. I mean, again, this is D&D, but I don't
Hmm.
know, the way it feels in this game of, oh, new level, gain new spell. That is something that's really is unfortunate about this game, is it takes you a long time to really get spells. And again, you got to remember this was designed probably for people who never played any Ultima or Wizardry before, or they might looked at it and said
Hmm.
that's too much for me. So that's part of it. Is, I mean, this was literally designed as baby's first RPG, like because there
Hmm.
wasn't another one other than those ones that nobody wanted to play, who weren't huge
Yeah.
nerds.
I mean, so pro and con also on the spells too, and for you it's probably all pro, right? Which is that there's basically no point in using the spells in battle, probably. Maybe in a boss fight you would, but you get the heal spell, and that becomes very worthwhile because it means that when you're grinding, you don't have to go back to town quite as much, right? Like you get as many times as you can like just force out a heal on yourself before you have to go back and pay some money, which you hard-earned fucking money at the inn, um, and walk all the way across the map. Um, so like that is something that's very useful outside of battle, but in battle Like, I guess you could take a turn to do it, but you could also just be like, "Oh, shoot, I got in trouble. I'll just click run and leave and then heal, because if I heal, they'll get another hit on me." And run pretty much always works, unless I'm, like, really out of my depth. Um, then you get, like, a harm spell, and at first it's, like, pretty good. I thought maybe, like, the ghosts were weak to it or something, and I think maybe they sort of are, but when I leveled up, it kinda looked like harm is doing static damage, like, my harm spells started doing just, like, less than like, I think when I first used harm against a ghost, I was doing, like, 1 damage with my attack to the ghost, which was less than anybody else, and I was doing, 9 damage with my harm, and then I leveled up a bunch, and I was like, "Well, now I'm doing, like, 17 damage to a ghost by hitting it, and I'm still doing, like, 9 damage with my harm." So that just wasn't that useful. But then you unlock like, oh, this is my radiant button or whatever that lets me um use it instead of having to buy a torch. Looking ahead, it looks like there's like teleport to the overworld or teleport back to the starting town things. Um
Mm.
there's one to make a monster go to sleep, but that doesn't seem that useful outside of like a boss fight. It's not like Final Fantasy where you might want to use your sleep spell because these enemies are not that bad, but there's fucking 10 of them. And you just need some of them to not matter for a second. Um, yeah, and so what that means is that you're not trying to conserve MP between battles and overworld. Like you're not sitting here thinking like I could use my harm to get through this battle faster, but then I would have fewer heals before I go back to town. Oh, I could use my harm on this or I could use my heal on this, but then I wouldn't have a torch to make it through the dungeon. Like in Zelda, like I do remember like trying to balance out I need a jump to get through this dungeon, but then I like also need a heal, so can I use defense and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
And here there was very pretty much none of that.
I
I don't think I ever really had to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly appreciated it more than the Final Fantasy fucking you have 4 uses of this spell, and I'm like, "I don't want can I get some of those for the other one?" I much prefer just MP for
Mhm.
everything and let me figure it out myself. I will tell you, I did, find the sleep spell pretty useful.
Mm,
Once you get into the harder areas, there are
mm,
some enemies who can I mean, it's harder areas relative to your current status, but
mhm,
by the time I felt like I was ready and fighting in like the southeast, once you go through that cave to get to a different area,
mhm,
um, there were a bunch of enemies there that would do a lot of damage to me in like 2 or 3 hits, but if I put them to sleep, they might stay asleep the whole fight. I could kill them without taking damage. That's longer that I can stay out before using my heal spell, before having to go spend money at the inn. So I did find sleep very helpful for grinding in that
mhm.
sense. I did. It's a shame. The series has a lot of iconic spells, things like Sizz, and they have funny names when they get stronger, like then it becomes cusses. And you don't learn Sizz in this game, I don't even know, till like level 12 or something. So they are
Mm.
pretty stingy with the spells that are actually useful in battle. But I used hurt like here and there, harm or whatever. Is it hurt? I think it's
Oh, I
hurt.
think it is hurt. Yeah, it is hurt. You're right. I'm
Yeah,
using final.
that's
Yeah,
yes.
some other. Yeah.
That like I also had a thing where I was like, oh, okay, now it's doing about as much as my attack. Okay, I'll go back to my attack, but it didn't annoy me. It's just like, I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, no, it didn't really annoy me either. I was just kind of like, oh, I guess this is just not really something I'm supposed to be engaging with as part of
At
combat.
least for that, I would say
Which,
it's probably for that specific enemy. Like I think then you might find a newer enemy that's harder, and maybe that one you do want to use hurt on. I don't know.
I feel like at that point hurt is underpowered and you're using sleep and then, maybe hurt more if you get up there.
Maybe it depends which
Um
weapon you have too.
yeah, but like I said, I mean this really just kind of like that's fine. It just kind of simplifies the combat even more. Like if I had to make decisions about how much I wanted to use magic, then it would make it less of a press A to win fight system. Um which would be different. It would be more like Final Fantasy, but also Final Fantasy wasn't amazing at that either. So it's fine. It's not
What'd
a
you think
problem.
about the magic key system in this game?
All right, so the magic keys is the bullshit that made me stop.
Go ahead, elaborate.
All right. Well, let me tell you how this works. So right off the bat, um, in the very first room when you very first start playing, there's a door in front of you and some treasure chests, and you open one, you get a key, you use the key to open the door. All right. So this teaches you you can get keys. They're one-time use and they open a door. And that door stays gone. So what I have learned is that if you use a key on a door, the key goes away, but the door is also gone. Right? Right? Like forever,
I'm with
right?
you. I'm listening.
All right, I get all the way to the other side of the map, right? And I see and I get there and I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to spend all of my remaining money on keys because I remember there were a lot of locked doors at the beginning of the map. I
Yes, you
want to go
find a
check them out."
town, they sell keys for like 53 gold per key.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is when you're, depending on where you are in the game, like when I first got there, that was a lot. I could only afford one or two maybe at the time.
Yeah, I think I bought 3 at that point.
Mhm.
Cuz I had kind of run from enemies to get to the town, right? So I bought 3, and I was like, I could use them on this wizard door here, but it would take 2, one to get to this wizard and one to get to the chest behind him. There's a bunch at the beginning of the game. So my thought was, I'm going to go back to the beginning, start opening doors there, right? And then I'll come back over here. And in the process of coming back over here, I'll get a bunch more money, right? Because I'll just beat enemies. Um, Actually, on the way back, I like did a little bit more exploring and died to a dragon, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I only had 1 gold left, so I basically got to teleport for free without having to walk," which was
There's also
a
the
fun
wings
little.
you can buy, of course.
I didn't see any of those.
If you buy, I think they were in that town. Some stores
Hmm.
sell wings and they'll just teleport you back to the king.
Yeah, I probably would have eventually bought them, but so I go back to the start of the town, right? And I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of doors in this first castle, so I use one of my keys to open a door. And because I'm like, there's a bunch of treasure chests in here. I open the treasure chests. All I get is gold, and it's less gold than the cost of a key. And I was like, okay, go fuck yourself. I open another door in the castle. There's a guy there, and I'm like, okay, cool. This guy sells keys, right? And he sells them for more than the other town, but he does sell them, right? So that's kind of good that I can just buy keys here, but I don't have enough money to buy any. So, but I know he's here and now the store's open, so we're cool. So I leave the town. I go over, I open another door. There's a guy, he gives me a little tip about where something is to play the game. That's cool. I wander up. Ooh, there's a locked castle here, but I don't have any more keys. But I know if I grind out 85 gold, I'll be able to buy a key here without having to walk all the way across the map. So I just like go down a little bit, grind out 85 gold, go back over to buy the key. Nope, turns out those doors come back. So I can't buy that key. I have to walk all the way back across the map over to the other town to buy the keys again, and then like death warp back to go open that castle if I want to. And that was the point where I was like, "Fuck off, fuck this, fuck you," and was like, I was like, at this point, I have played this game for so long. It was all grinding. I finally got to a thing where I got to come back and explore, and it was just trolling me the entire time. You gave me nothing. You just trolled me so I would have to walk back and forth across the map for no reason. And
This
that's as
is
far as I got.
this. I feel like you have an uncanny ability to just have just find the worst experience you can in a game. If there's something you can do that's optional or accidental to do a thing that's annoying, you will do it. Because I don't even know. Because I mean, I did the same thing as you, and I was like, this is stupid." But I never. I don't know if I just went back inside or I went upstairs and down again. Like I just was like, "Oh, the door's back." Like I didn't. I don't know. It didn't seem so. I didn't have this experience of like I'm now. It's all about that open door, and then being pissed off. It just was like it just kind of happened, and I moved on.
I mean, really what it was like after all of these hours of grinding, I finally got my payoff, which is the ability to backtrack and open all these doors, right? Because I had seen all these locked doors and I'd wanted to explore.
Yeah.
And finally, after hours and hours of grinding, I was like, oh my God, like all of these towns are giving me the payoff that I get as I get to grind more. But here, the payoff I get as I get to explore. And what I got out of it was, okay, well, you wasted your money, lol. And then, oh hey, you could buy more keys. Oh no, you can't. Haha. Actually, no, you like that's you're just shut out. You're down. You're out of keys. Want to go look for more? Go all the way back over there. It was just annoying. It was just like, what? Well, come on. Like, what are we doing?
See, I was like, oh, that's kind of annoying, but like, well, what else am I going to do? I was probably going to walk back over there anyway. I'll grind along the way. Sure.
I mean, I know what I was going to do. I was going to go open the door to that castle and see what was in there, and then go check out that other town and see what was in there, and then get the keys and check out what was by that wizard. And but like, now I'm like, okay, I guess I have to walk all the way across the map and all the way back every time I want to do that. And I have to grind out a bunch of money for keys, and it's just more grinding, and it's just, and it looks like these payoffs are all telling me that maybe it's not even fucking worth it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that is probably the next thing you should be doing.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll tell you, at a certain point, I finally was having a decent amount of money, and I was able to like just buy like 6
Hmm.
keys, and I think that's the max you can hold at a time.
Sure.
And
If I had opened the chest in that town rather than trying to go back to the beginning and open all the like early stuff, what would I have found that wizard guarding?
um, this is in the town where you buy the keys.
Yeah, yeah. In the town where you buy the keys, there's like a locked door that leads to a wizard and another locked door that leads to a treasure chest behind him.
I'm trying to remember because I did do that, and I don't remember what's. It's not. It's not like I
Mm,
don't think it's like, oh, you've
okay.
unlocked the secret of the game or something.
Right. I mean, I guess my question is, would I have felt like I got anything out of those keys rather than feeling like I got trolled is what I got?
I think you probably would have felt like you got trolled
Mm,
because some of those things it takes like combined knowledge. You need to talk to certain. I mean, did you like in the castle where the guy
mhm.
is who's selling the keys? Did you then go down and talk to those people in there?
Yeah, I did. I even went past the barrier.
Yeah, so like for instance, there's a guy down there who says in Garen there's a grave, you need to like move a secret stone or something,
Hmm.
right? And in Garen there is you have to use a key to open a door, and then it looks like there's nothing else. I mean, there's some people, but it looks like there's and chests, but it looks like there's nowhere else to go. But if you move along the back wall, there's a secret. You can just go outside, and it's not obvious.
Hmm.
And like I went in there at least once before talking to that guy and being like, oh, I don't remember. I
Mm.
didn't find it, and I felt like I wasted a key. There's also a room in there with 2 NPCs in it that you have to use a key to get into, and they just say nothing to you. Like it literally, you want to talk about being trolled? That's trolling.
Yeah, unlocking the keys behind the money effectively means that after you grind for 5 hours, you can get to the part of the game where you can start exploring, but most of the exploration you do is trolling, and every time you put in another attempt, you have to do more grinding in order to put in more attempts. So basically, you're still just grinding.
I mean, look, I know this won't sway you, but in the game's defense, you have to remember this the time this came out. It wasn't kids weren't playing this thinking they weren't
Hmm.
feeling like their time was being wasted. They were feeling like, oh, I have so much more to do. It's exciting that I get to go back and it's an hours long journey and a quest because there weren't 50 other games to play. This was like a selling point probably
Hmm.
that you got to do all this and you
Yeah,
had to
there's
struggle put it together.
There's definitely some like I can see that. I can see that you can, if you're just like, look, it's cool, I'm fighting the slime. Look, it's cool, I'm fighting the wizard. Like that's pretty neat. I'm gonna go over here, and you're just exploring the map and having fun. That is for sure. Like I can see that. There's definitely something more appealing to me about Ultima though, in the sense that like you basically don't have to grind. Like once you kind of know where stuff is and how it works, you just kind of are like, all right, I got all that stuff again. I died or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll just run around and have fun. Um, Whereas in this, it does kind of feel like, yeah, if you die, it doesn't matter, but you have to grind out to get anywhere anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. There's also another essential item in the castle that in order to get you have to actually go around the outside of it.
Hmm.
You have to go through that door. Similar to where when you go to buy the
Hmm.
keys, it looks like you should leave the map, but you actually stay
Hmm.
1 pixel close to the town and there's a secret
Yeah.
staircase that lets you in. That
Yeah,
is a
I mean, it's
little
not
bit
that
annoying
secret.
to
You can
find.
tell that it's there, but or no, I'm sorry, in the
For the
castle you mean there's
keys.
a
Yeah,
secret
yeah, yeah.
staircase. Yeah.
There's a
Yeah, I
different one.
mean to be honest, I probably would have tried to do that. So I don't think that would have been
I
that
tried
annoying
to
to
do it
me.
like because somebody says, "Oh, there's a basement, but it's hard to find in the castle."
Mm.
And I tried going around like all the other ways outside, but I got annoyed. It took me a long time to figure out, oh, it's this one specific
This
place you gotta go.
this is the locked castle up in the northwest town.
No, no, no. Sorry, this is the
Oh,
main castle, like the castle you
oh, this
start
is the
in.
main castle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't remember finding that. So maybe there was a way. Maybe I didn't do that, and I had the chance to. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You have to once you're inside that door, you can do it, but you have to know to go outside and stick to the
I
wall and
see.
find it.
Okay, I guess I just didn't. I guess I saw there was the guy selling keys and saw that there was the barrier back there, and I was like, all right, it probably then it's like I've explored it enough. But yeah, okay, okay,
But ultimately,
yeah, that's fine.
the goal of the game is you get the rain staff and the soul stone, which is in the castle, and you also need a token of Erdrick,
Hmm.
which I forget where you find that, and then you can make this rainbow bridge that lets you go to where the Dragon Lord
Hmm.
is, and you fight him.
Yes, I did hear people telling me about all of that stuff. So
I did get the staff of rain and the soul stone, which is just in that basement. And then I was like, what do I do? I gotta find this token, and that's when I personally stopped. I wanted to if you beat the green dragon in the cave, you rescue the princess,
mm,
and she will help you find the last thing you need. But it's actually completely optional. You don't
okay.
have to rescue the princess in this game.
Okay. I mean, I was going to try that at some point because that green dragon is what killed me, I think. Because that was
Oh yeah.
when I was coming back from the town, and I was like, I'll just walk back to the beginning. As you know, I went into the tunnel, and I was like, well, I didn't really fully explore this. I was just trying to get through the first time, so I just found the obvious way through. But I'll go explore all this other stuff, and I saw a dragon, and it just attacked first for half my health, and I was like, run? Fail. Oh, I'm dead. Well, good thing I only had one gold.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's pretty. It is just so funny too in comparison. In the remake, when you fight that dragon, it's like, wow, this is an epic boss fight.
Mhm.
And here it's like, I don't know, if you just go over there, you'll see it. You can
Yeah,
see it at any
there it
time.
is.
But I kind of, while that can be frustrating, I do sort of appreciate that about this game. This the style of it that is really about just putting all this shit together yourself. It's it doesn't hold your hand, but also you don't have to look stuff up. It's not like Final Fantasy where
Mhm.
it's I don't know what the fuck this sword does and no one will ever tell me. It's
Yeah, that I
like
mean, that pissed me off. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
eventually if you talk to enough people and look around enough, you can piece together what to do, and it's just very different from a modern RPG where they tend to be extremely linear, which
Mhm.
is not inherently a bad thing. But I did find that an interesting shift in perspective that I
Yeah.
came to appreciate.
I think this is a similar King's Quest issue where I am kind
Hmm.
of looking at it and being like, I do really like that all of the people here tell you how to play the game and that it's not necessarily linear. There's a lot of backtracking and looking around and you have to put it together. But I think that there is also a part of me that's just kind of like, if you tell me a clue and then an hour later I see a second clue, and then an hour later I see a third clue. By the time I see the third clue, I don't remember what the first clue said, so I can't synthesize them. So at a certain point, I get to a bit where I'm just like, I kind of remember where all the clues are, but I don't know what they are, so I guess I have to spend an hour walking around the map to see all of them in quick succession so that I can actually put them together. Because otherwise, I won't know. Like, I need them to be like on me in some way. Like I would rather it be laid out like this, but then just like I have a log of everything everyone said so that like once I've been everywhere, I can kind of and talked to everyone, I can go try to put together what to do. And if I can't put together what to do, well, I got to go more places and talk to more people. But I think that there could have been. I don't really know that I got to that point because I think that like just the fact that I had to fucking grind out all these keys to go to more places and I was getting trolled with them was making me upset. But I do think that would have been my next step is go everywhere you can go and talk to everyone. And then my next step would have been figure out what they're telling me. And I probably would have had to revisit a bunch of them, which would
Yeah.
have meant grinding out more goddamn keys to go to places I had already been. And I would have been mad again.
I mean, that's exactly where I got to is like, now that I've played a while and I know the lay of the land, let me go talk to these NPCs again, because before I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Mm.
But now I'm like, oh, I know where they're talking about. I can figure this out. To me, it just didn't. The map is not so big that I was like, oh, like going to every town. There's like 4 of them. Like it's not that bad. I mean, this is you are right. It is the same thing as
Yeah.
King's Quest, where you were like, I hated going
Yeah,
across this
it's-
map, and I was like, it's not that big. It's fine.
I mean, it's not as bad as King's Quest. I'll tell you that right now. It's not as bad because, like, when I'm saying you see a clue and then an hour later you see a second, you only see it an hour later because you spent an hour grinding. It would be
Right.
like
Depends
a
on what you
minute or
do.
two
Yeah.
if you were just walking straight there and you were high leveled,
Right.
right? But it wouldn't be. I mean, I guess it would be a minute or two if you were high enough level to grind out enemies that were dropping hundreds of coins so that you could just buy 6 keys over and
Mhm.
over and over again. Then maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal. Like, I could see that. I could see that being a thing that, like, maybe it wouldn't irritate me because maybe by the point that I had talked to everybody and I actually had to re-talk to them, I would just have enough resources that it would be fast.
I
Yeah,
sort of
maybe,
started to
maybe.
see it like Neo in the Matrix, of less like a big immersive kingdom, and more like, here's my like pieces of the puzzle. How do I connect
Mm.
all these dots and figure this out? By the way, it's another thing in the remake. Instead of keys you can just buy for every door, there are blue doors, red doors, and I think a third kind of door. And at some point, like a third of the way through, you get the blue key. And now you can go
Mm.
back and open all the blue doors, and then the red key, and then eventually you get the key that opens everything. So they piecemeal it out to you in a much more gamey, logical way. Again, more linearly than here, where it's like, you want to open that door? Okay, you can go find the key and do it first if you want. I don't know. We're not going to tell you what to do.
Hmm.
Different.
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of thing.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that it's not linear. I think that that is cool, and I appreciate how much of the game is in the game. Right, like I was saying, like all of the stuff that's in the manual for the plot is in the game, and like where to go and how to play is in there. Like I like that the NPCs are telling you different and relevant information that you like pretty much have to read. Like I think
Well,
that's a good thing.
I'd like to hear what you like and what you don't like, and your final thoughts and your IGN rating.
My IGN rating. All right, let's see here. Let's see. How do I feel about this game? So, like I said, I do like some of the enemies. I do think they're fun. The little slimes, the ghosties, the more advanced like poltergeists and wolves and scorpions and whatever. That's all fun. I like the dragon. Do like the system of having to double back and re-explore everything. I like the system where NPCs give you clues that you actually need to listen to. I think in Zelda sometimes NPCs would give you clues like go to this town and it would be like, yeah, sure, that's where I was going there anyway. There's like 2 things to do. Um uh that's all good. And it really is just that the fundamental act of playing this game is basically just a loop of grinding, which I found to be quite boring. So the actual experience of playing it was pretty boring. Let's see. It's definitely not on the level of Final Fantasy for me. Not in terms of like the character design or the sense of place or the music or the gameplay or anything like that. Um, but and it's also not on the level of something like Ultima, uh, which I thought was a lot more fun and less frustrating and all of that. Um, but it is, I mean, it's not fucking wizardry, right? Like, let's be
We can
reasonable
all
here.
agree we hate wizardry.
Yeah, it's not wizardry. Um, I think that on the whole, I would probably give Dragon Quest 1 from what I saw of it. I'm going to give it a let's say a 6.9 for me.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
That's a pretty good score.
Yeah, it's not a bad score.
I thought it was
Listen,
gonna be a lot lower.
yeah, I mean, I bitched and moaned all episode, but like it was only about one thing. It was only about one thing, and that one thing that I moaned about, I was legit. As I said, I could just read a book and not play while I did it, and then like look up and do something else. And everything else about it was pretty decent at worst.
Okay. Excuse me. Um, yeah, I like Dragon Quest, this first one, Dragon Warrior, whatever you want to call it. All of your criticisms are absolutely valid. It's obvious that this game comes from a different time. It is a simple story. It's guy go kill evil guy. That's it. There's no depth or nuance. There's no character development. You don't talk to other characters except for the ones that just say, hey, go buy something, or tomatoes. I got tomatoes.
Or Puff Puff.
Yeah, whatever you want. Judging it on its own merits, though, of course, the designs help. I mean, if I gotta be grinding away at stuff, I'd rather do it looking at slimes, which are cute, and whatever else he's throwing at me. The ghosts and all that, I do think are very fun designs. There is a simplicity in it that I found I was able to engage with and enjoy. And I don't know, I'm sure in some way my having played the remake may be informing my opinion of it. But you might think that would be for the worse because it's so much less going on here. But I don't actually feel that way. I think that it's more just interesting to see, oh, here's how they took that and this. And oh yeah, I can imagine myself in this time and place playing this game and enjoying it. The difference between you and me really is just how much how much more you enjoyed Final Fantasy 1. Because I think I'm going to give this the exact same score I gave to Final Fantasy and to Ultima, which is a 7. To me, all three of these they all have trade-offs. They all have pros and cons. They're all examples of like how people were trying to figure it out. We didn't quite know what an RPG looked like yet. We were throwing shit at the wall. Some of it was good, some of it was bad, but they all kind of level out to me to the same, like, yeah, at the end of the day, I didn't mind playing it. I had fun at parts, was frustrated with others.
Yeah,
But
sure.
but yeah, but like that's why it's like I feel like I enjoyed the game a lot more than you. But our scores are so close to each other. But your score for Final Fantasy was much higher, and even your score for Ultima was higher.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, like all of my complaints are basically me coming into this and saying like this is the sort of thing that I should like. And my God, is it being dragged down? It's being dragged down to even slightly
in.
worse than you, who doesn't really like it that much, feel about it.
I'm more like, I guess my perspective also is I'm rating it more on its merits as like my score is lower because it is so primitive and basic. But also when actually playing it, that didn't really actively bother me. So it's like I don't know how to articulate. It's almost like watching a silent movie or something and being like, I don't know, like, well, obviously I don't enjoy this silent movie as much as I enjoy Fellowship of the Ring or something. But I'm still like, it's doing its own thing. And like, if I'm in the mindset, I'm having fun with Buster Keaton or whatever. I don't know if this is not a good example. I don't know how to make analogies. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, it really does just feel like make less experience to level up, or less or fewer gaps between, like, fewer jumps like between areas, so it's more possible to exist in areas where you're under leveled, make everything cheaper, and then give you more access to repels and make the battles more like complex, and it becomes great. Like basically just take the battling system and say you have to do less of it, but you have to pay attention more, and then when you're done with it, you don't have to engage it with it anymore. I read in the manual that you can basically get, there's like a repel spell and there's like a
Oh,
repel
yes.
item, and I
I
was
did
like,
get that.
that I didn't get to that point, but that right there feels like that's what Final Fantasy
Oh,
fucking needed.
actually, I think that's what's in that castle, is the person who sells
Mm.
you fairy water.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't it's funny because I think if I had to answer the question, I probably would say, well, yeah, Final Fantasy is a better game than Dragon Quest. But it's just like, but it was much. I had spent way more time on it and got more burnt out on it than Dragon Quest or Ultima, which were more short bursts and obviously not as technologically advanced, not as deep, not as interesting in
Mhm.
their systems. But also, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is like a little. It's like eating cookies as compared to like a
Yeah.
steak that's just okay.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing about the system on this, I think I brought it up before in discussions of grinding, but I think I want to bring it up again here because I think it's relevant. Is uh so in the Pokemon games, it used to be, random encounters exactly as you imagine them from Gen 1, exactly as they work here. In later entries, they did start to do the things where you get overworld sprites that you can run into or not. Um, and I, in some ways, prefer the old way because you don't have to look at the screen if you're searching for a particular encounter. Like if you just want to get through encounter list, the new way is better. But if you're saying, I want to look for a specific thing, I just literally go back and forth without looking at the screen until I get it, and that's nicer. Whereas in the new way, it's really annoying because I have to be paying attention the entire time. Um, if I'm looking for a specific encounter, I actually have to go find it and run into it. Um, and like I think that that does kind of come back to sort of your experience here. The only difference being that like I don't like doing that in Pokemon. So if I want a specific encounter, I just don't want to have to pay attention to it. Whereas in this, I do like the turn-based battling.
Yeah, I think it's there's a more specific thing about that with Pokemon where I don't know if it would
Hmm.
apply to me, but
Hmm.
generally speaking, I my favorite RPGs are the ones where you can see the stuff on the map. I
Yeah.
like to see that.
No, it would be better. The new system would be better in Pokemon if you did not have to catch them all.
Right.
That's the only thing that makes me not
Right.
like it. So,
I think like later Dragon
yeah.
Quests even
Hmm.
probably all these games, like I'm sure later Final Fantasies too, at some point, if nothing else, the like the MMOs or whatever, you see stuff on the map. You're not it's
Hmm.
not going whittle 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 whittle. All right. Well, I mean, what's really going to be interesting from here is we've now officially, I think, sealed up the door on these classic,
Hmm.
the primordial RPGs. And
Yes.
we're moving on. We're going to play stuff like the next Final Fantasy game, Ultima 4. We're going to see how these evolve without we won't have to deal with these growing
Yeah.
pains at all
Yeah,
as much.
I'm interested to see where that goes because my speculation here is that going to Final Fantasy and Ultima 4, like right now they're part of that same lineage, as you said, like they're all growing into a thing. My speculation is that when we do later Final Fantasy and later Ultima, that's when we're going to start to see a split between like JRPG versus Western RPG or something like this,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
different genres of RPG. So we'll still kind of be looking at like progenitors of a modern genre, but not like, the RPG.
I predict. I don't really know this, but my prediction is that we will see that in Ultima 4. That I
Mhm.
think it's going to feel Western in a way.
Yes.
Maybe it's still too early though. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
I
it
have
already
no
does a
idea.
little compared to Final
My
Fantasy.
my prediction is based on very little, probably even less than yours. So,
Now, interestingly, Dragon. Quest became essentially there's what is known as the Erdrick trilogy. So in Dragon Quest II, spoiler, at the end of Dragon Quest, you kill the Dragon Lord.
Whoa.
and your character goes off to found his own kingdom. And Dragon Quest II is like a few generations later, and you play as the descendants of the character in this game. Basically doing the same thing. The Dragon Lord's back. And then Dragon Quest III is a prequel. Now, in that game, you actually get to play as Erdrick and do the legendary stuff everybody's always been talking about. And Dragon Quest III is really the one where it was always popular in Japan, but 3 is the one where it truly became enormous. And I think that is probably, as far as Dragon Quest is concerned, I don't think we need to play 2, even though it adds a party. It does add some things. I think we will probably skip to 3 for whenever we get to it and see how that goes.
To me, that makes sense. However, if you, listener, are a Dragon Quest fan, feel free to tell us whether that is correct or incorrect.
Feel free. I won't listen to you. But you can feel free. I almost said feel 3. I'd like to feel 3 of something. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Is that like a puff, puff, puff?
Okay, come on.
I was just going to let that hang, and then I got the idea, and I probably should have.
I don't really have much in the way of retro reviews this week. Sorry. I could not locate good archives of any of them. I will tell you.
Japanese.
I will tell you, I think this is funny. I mentioned in my intro, the game was so unsuccessful in America, Nintendo Power gave it away as a subscriber bonus.
Damn.
Which was a $50 value for a $20 a year subscription. So
yeah, I was going to say, if I got this game for free with the subscription to a magazine I wanted anyway, I'd be like, this game fucking rips. Oh my God.
It successfully got a ton of people to sign up for Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
And is the only reason they got Dragon Quest II localized, Dragon Warrior 2, is because they did that. So pretty smart thinking on their part. Nintendo Power reviewed Dragon Quest and gave it a 3 out of 5. I just think that's so funny. We're going to give you this awesome game. I mean, it's not that awesome. It's fine. even
it's not
they
even like bad.
are
it's
hyping
fine.
it up. Yeah. It's, you know, hey, it's free. What do you want?
It's a game.
But overseas people received it a lot better, and I mean, next time we cover Dragon Quest, we'll get more into it. But it's like they lose their fucking shit over there for this series. They cannot get enough. I think we're gonna check out some player mail this week.
Sure, that's what it's called? That's better than massive mail opening.
Well, it's easier to say. We had some comments, of course, people's thoughts from last week's debacle involving Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh no, I'm in a lot of trouble, aren't I?
Not as much as you deserve to be. We had a lot of thoughts from the box art to other parts of the game. Here's Steve P's email that I'm going to read right now. Steve says, "It blows my mind that Will can look at the box, see Mario with the raccoon tail, and not immediately know he is flying." This was something we talked about. I'm not saying it's a bad take. In fact, I'd say it's completely reasonable to see Mario on the cover and think it looks like a sort of belly flop pose. Maybe it would look more like flying if Mario had his hands straight in front like Superman. But the raccoon tail power-up was one of the main draws of the game while it was being marketed. This was the first time Mario could fly, which was a major game changer for the series. Putting Raccoon Mario front and center was how Nintendo put their best foot forward. Imagine if Super Mario World didn't put Yoshi on the cover. Can you imagine the fucking dystopia we'd be living in if that were the case? That was me. Okay, he continues.
Oh, Yeah, I should have guessed, actually. I thought maybe he said that, but you know what? Now that I think back, yeah, that's not his voice. That's yours.
Steve continues, I forget that everyone's not reading along with me, so they don't know.
No, it's fine. Feel free to just put words in other people's mouths. It's fine.
He says, I agree that Mario 3 is extremely long for a game without a save feature. The game gives us warp whistles, sure, but they are not quite the same thing. They are not very easy to discover on your own, though we all knew how to get them back in the day. And you have to collect them every time you turn on the game. Better than nothing, I guess. And you're right that the two-player alternating mode isn't always a good way to play, but it's not as bad as it could be. Players take turns after each level attempt, whether they beat the level or not. You don't have to wait around for an hour if you are playing with an expert. Despite that, I rarely play the alternating two-player mode in this or any game, mainly because we felt it was more fun to alternate in the one-player mode and make progress together. Plus, it got tedious to play a level and then watch your friend play the exact same level or vice versa. Finally, Steve P. writes, I also do not care about Yu-Gi-Oh!
I completely forgot we even brought it up. I'm so here's a curious take because I'm torn on this. My immediate thought is it would be more legible to me that Mario is flying if he had Superman pose arms. But I also think about it and I think like, listen, I do agree that it should be Raccoon Mario on the front because he is iconic. And I think him having his arms out to the side might be better iconography than just doing a Superman pose. Like, I'm not sure that that would have fixed my like actually but because as much as I was like, oh, I don't think he flies, like I don't want to sacrifice the minimalism and how iconic him being Raccoon Mario is. What are your thoughts on Superman pose versus arms out to the side?
Well, let me ask you this question. Let me flip it around on you.
Okay.
If you didn't know what Superman was, you see Superman with his legs straight back, his arms forward in a void of a yellow void in the background. Would you know he is flying, or do we only know that because we know that's how Superman flies?
Yeah, so that is an interesting question, and I think it really comes down to the difference between us because in my mind, I'm saying, well, when this game comes out in 1980, 1990, when the fuck did it come out?
1989, 89,
89.
88, 89, yeah.
Yeah, when this game came out, we all know who Superman
1990.
is. Right. Now Steve makes a good point that if this is the primary marketing material, we can assume. But like if I haven't been looking at the marketing leading up to this game, I don't know that Raccoon Mario flies.
Right.
But I of course know that Superman flies, right?
Right.
I don't know. Whereas you're just like how could it doesn't even occur to me, or at least Steve also said this. I think you said it too. It doesn't even occur to me that someone wouldn't think that Raccoon Mario is flying. Of course he flies. That's what he does. It is actually a little bit difficult for me to tell if that would let me know that Superman was flying. I will say this: Superman does have a cape, and Superman's cape streaming out behind him would help.
But you might be
say
like,
that he must be
is
moving
he
forward,
diving downwards or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
like he could be well.
Is
to
he
be fair,
losing?
he did start off by leaping rather than flying.
Right.
So
The plot thickens.
it sure does.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Steve's point is that like it at the time everybody knew. This box art was not designed for someone 20, 30, 40 years later who didn't know. It was a sea of commercials and marketing.
I guess in my mind, I am imagining person who goes into the store and sees new Mario game, but somehow hasn't encountered commercials, which might just not have been a person who existed.
I also maintain that the point is moot because it's like, so what? They'll then flip the box around and then you'll see a thing and like, oh, I guess he's flying. Like it doesn't, I don't think it hurts anything if you know or don't.
We don't have to have the argument again, but yes, like that, listen, there's no reason not to have the marketing be good just because people can look past it. Like you need to snap them with that first impression, whatever. Anyway.
We also got some thoughts from Avatar Protocol on the YouTube who said,
the YouTube.
I was watching some of your footage playing the game and said, I didn't understand what Will was referring to with the problematic, quote, platforming thing. until this point, about 33 minutes in, and then realized he was talking about 1-4, which I don't play, and I'm pretty sure nobody ever really plays. I hardly remember what it looked like.
Yeah. Yes, well, that was my problem. Uh, that was the fundamental issue I had with the game, was that I was too stupid to realize I didn't have to do that.
You are.
We did
really,
cover that.
I'm never going to get over how fucking stupid you are.
There's something about Mario, in particular, I think that really gets me, like worse than any of these other games.
What kills me is that it has nothing to do with platforming. It's not.
Yeah, no, it's not platforming.
It's not an issue of video game,
No.
knowledge in any way.
No. Yeah, no, because like in the first one, the problem wasn't even that I couldn't platform, it was that I just didn't even realize I could run. Like I feel like every Mario game, we're just gonna like fundamentally, it's gonna be like, oh, so you just didn't know.
At least
like,
running is a mechanic. This is like,
yeah, but I just entirely missed a whole mechanic. I mean, that's
not as bad as I didn't just look down.
I mean, here's the worst part about that is that like I said on the episode, I immediately was like, oh, it would be cool if there are certain stages were optional and you could just bypass them. I wonder if I'll get a chance to do that. Like, yeah. I immediately thought that and knew It was a possibility. It's not like it didn't occur to me that I could look for it.
Incredible. And I mean that in the traditional sense.
Yes.
We used to have an Animorphs podcast.
That's
Every
true.
week we read an Animorphs book. Imagine if one week I came in and said, I couldn't figure out how to get past chapter 4, so I just reread the first 3 chapters over and over again. What would your reaction be to that? I didn't realize I could have turned the page after chapter 4. I thought I couldn't do it. That's essentially what had happened. Oh, I could have flipped it again? No, mine were stuck together, I guess. Oh, they weren't? Oh. Huh. Yeah. Avatar Protocol also has thoughts on the 2-player mode. Says, I think Will got 2-player a little wrong here in that players alternate not just on losing a life, but also on clearing a level. I might be wrong. But other than that, his explanation for what's wrong with that between you two still wouldn't work for the same reason. It would be Will failing an attempt, Jonathan clearing, Will failing, etc. for the whole game. And he's dying a little too quickly for that to work. His playstyle fits trying his own attempt again to correct his own mistake. And 2-player only works in the game if you're both at the same skill levels. But there was a mention earlier. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Why don't you respond to that?
No, that was my response. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Fuck you. But there was a mention earlier about not taking the absolutely pure route of never learning critical errors like the World 1 overworld map problem until the podcast happens and it's too late. Similar to the Metroid long beam problem or not knowing Mario 1 can run. There has to be some buffer point beforehand where he starts out with a pure attempt, and then Jonathan reviews what's going on and finds out what the sticking point is. Or maybe there has to be some prepared potential issues that Will can check halfway into his playtime if they can be anticipated. Even final findings like the warp whistles should be experienced even if you have to look up on the internet where to find them. What do you think about that?
So here's what I think about that. I'm still very much want to be experiencing this the way, like if I can't figure it out in the game, I don't really want to be doing it. I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea of saying, like, here is a potential, like, actual critical mistake that would totally, like, warp the entire gameplay, like not being able to run. The problem is, and then, like, I could check on these and be like, is there anything critical I'm missing? The problem is, I don't think these are anticipatable. I don't think that you can anticipate how bad and how critical these are. If I thought you could, I'd be like, that's a good idea. But, like, the issue is, like, I really don't want to just, like, look up how to make progress in the game as long as if I'm getting the experience of playing the game, I just didn't get that far. I think that's fine and can just be corrected with, like, maybe a gameplay video or something. I don't know maybe I'll just become a better gamer slowly. I'll get better instincts. Maybe Mario will always be the death of me.
I've said this before, but this idea of this pure gamer experience is a fabrication. Because when this game came out, the kids who were playing it, they saw the wizard. They were reading Nintendo Power. They were talking to their friends in the playground. They all knew the secrets and the tricks because they read them in a magazine. Nobody sat there blind and didn't know these things.
It's not in the wizard, and I might not have
the
a
warp
subscription,
whistle is in
and
the wizard.
I don't have. I guess that part's true. That's true. That's true.
Go on.
But I might not have a magazine subscription to video games if I didn't like them that much.
You're role-playing as a child whose parents wouldn't get him it. Said,
I mean,
no
I didn't have
for
one.
you. Well, because you didn't play video games.
And who's to say that I would have had friends?
Every nerd had you could find the other nerds.
Are you about to tell me right now that you think that I'm a popular person who deserved friendship as a child? That's your opinion on the
record. Abstain. Maybe there's something like you're saying that when you played Mario 3, let's say for an hour, you didn't have enough of a sense that you're like, maybe I'm in trouble and I'm doing something wrong. You were like, this is just how it is and I'm just bad.
I think the issue is, I don't remember if I said this on the podcast or not, but I feel like Mario exists in this strange place for me, right? Where, like, again, in Zelda, if I can't get through something, I know that means I'm doing something wrong, and I should go look around and figure out what I'm doing until I can get through it. In Mega Man, right? You just got to do it, right? You just got to throw yourself at it until you get through it. There's no like backtrack and see what I missed. I didn't really miss anything. There's just a pattern. You figure it out. You're through it. And I feel like Mario makes me feel like I'm in Mega Man, right? Like the thing in front of me, just figure out the pattern, figure out how to get through it, and then you're through it. But it has more Zelda characteristics where I should be backing up and looking at other stuff, but I like don't know how to do that, right? I don't know how to explore in Mario. I don't know. So I'm just focused entirely on the thing in front of me with like no peripheral whatsoever. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe the 3D games will fix this, but
well,
again, though, also part of the problem is that idea of like there is a safe zone in Zelda. There are large areas where I can just go be safe. In Mario, there's not, right? In Mario, if I take one step off the beaten path, I die. So my brain just hyper focuses on like, this is where I'm at, get through this to the next part. I'm not looking off to the side where I probably should be.
I think that's a similar,
it's weird. I don't know.
I think that's not that far off from what you described of playing Dragon Quest today too, of bridge too hard. Nope. Go back to the other side of the bridge. Right? Maybe you need to learn to take more risks.
Well, that's more like Zelda. I mean, maybe, because I don't think that what you just said is right. Because obviously there are times where I am like the problem where I am too risky. I think the problem is the balance of it, right? Like in Dragon Quest, I am very much like
to take risks.
Yeah, it's like, well, here's the risky thing, so all I'm going to do is throw myself at the risk over and over till I figure it out. Here's the safe thing, so I'm going to stay in the safe area till I figure the whole thing out, and then I'll move forward. I don't know that I can move between those very well. Like, that I think is the problem with Mario, is that it's in between. It's not either of those two.
Well, look, I will try to be more vigilant going forward of potential problems. But again, I'm looking at the list of upcoming games and I'm like, I don't see how he could screw any of these up.
Yeah, like I said, I would love to say that it's on Jonathan to come up with potential critical, not like, oh, well, you won't get the full experience. You'll only get 80% of it. No, that I don't want to know that. I want to figure it out myself. But you literally you were locked out of the game because you didn't do the simplest, dumbest ass thing. Like, what was he supposed to say? Did you know you can press right to move to the next stage? What if I hadn't figured that out and I was like, I'm stuck on 1-1. I don't know how to get past it. It's like, how was he supposed to know? You know, I can't even blame you.
No, you absolutely fucking cannot. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, has there been a worse? Not really. That's really
No,
a
yeah,
low
it is.
point.
Yeah.
That's a
They really, yeah,
podcast
absolutely.
defining moment that I don't know if
Well,
we'll
we're
ever get
gonna
past.
when we do Mario World, I'll see if I can top it.
Again, I'm like, Mario World is much, even more friendly, even more accessible. But that's what I thought about 3 too. So I'm like, what the fuck do I know? I don't know
Maybe
anything.
for Mario in particular, I'll go. I'll be like, I'm gonna look up like a little
Just watch
bit of a how to
one
play guide.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
Watch the first 20 minutes just to make sure.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea. Just to make sure that I am in fact doing it, because
Yeah,
if
you
there's
don't even
something
need me.
critical, yeah, if there's something that critical, it'll rear its head immediately, right?
One would hope. Listeners, viewers, thanks for joining us. We want to hear from you. You can email us badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. Whatever you got to say, we'll read it. And you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. We are continuing the Mario 3 train in a big way, not only with our gameplay video coming out sometime this week, if it's not there already, but also with our Patreon episode this week. We're going to be discussing the Super Mario Bros. 3 cartoon. Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Now, I didn't really. I think maybe there's a Dragon Quest manga, which maybe was turned into an anime. I didn't see much about it, but we're not covering that this week. We're still
We'll
in
have
Mario
Dragon
mode.
Quest 3.
Yeah, so there'll be other Dragon Quests down the line. Next week, we are going to be playing. It's pretty exciting. We're moving farther into the future than we ever have before.
Holy shit.
All the way into 1991.
Oh my god. This is crazy.
With Capcom's Street Fighter 2. Which we may be playing around with. There's the turbo version, probably, on Super Nintendo is what we'll be playing. But it's our first fighting game. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know how you can mess this one up. I didn't know you could select more than one character.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll mess this one up. I don't think I mess up most of these games. I don't do something that game breaking, so I think it'll be okay. It's just the Marios I'm worried about.
We'll have to play some of this together as well, of course.
Oh yeah, that's true. It is a fighting game.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Until next time, gamers. Out. Yeah, I wanted
9
to finish
gamers
it.
out.
What?